What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Chad with CD Shave, and thank you very much for joining me for today's live shave. I don't expect a ton of viewers right now, as it is, well, almost 6:30 in the morning on Eastern Standard Time, and I'm doing a head shave, getting ready for work. Usually I hit the gym, or I'm at the gym by now, finishing up, but not today. Today I took that day off, and I figured I would get a head shave in. While we're talking, let's throw a little bit of water on the head. So this is a sample and a shave series. For those of you that are not familiar with my channel, this is a time when I basically just grab a sample that I've been sitting on and I just shave with it, either live. Sometimes I'll do a live video in one of the shave groups, or I do it on here, and sometimes it's pre-recorded, and just shave with it and see what I think of it, just kind of as if I just grabbed a random sample off of one of the websites like maggardrazors.com or westcoastshaving.com and try it out. So today's sample we have sitting in our shave bowl right here. This is Stirling's Haverford. I'm going to bowl lather today, obviously. Haverford is a shave soap. I don't have a ton of information with me because, again, this is live. And I tried to fire up my tablet, and the tablet is not charged. So, unfortunately, I don't have any information on it other than it is a shave soap that you can get at Stirling. So, let's talk about the scent for you. To me, it's a very light, very clean scent. I mean, it's definitely there. As of with a lot of Stirling scents, it's cologne-esque. But again, it's very light. To me, I would see this as a light and clean, almost laundry-ish type of scent. It's doesn't smell like clean laundry like those air fresheners. It doesn't smell like that. It's just a very clean scent, and then reminds me of kind of like fresh linens in a way. That's what I get off of it. So what am I going to pair this with, since I really only have a sample? I went with Australian Private Reserve. This is called General Ledger. This stuff I've been wanting to use for a while. I actually haven't used this yet during this part. I have this matching soap with this, but I haven't used the aftershave yet. It's a really, really nice, to me, I describe this type of scent a European scent, because a lot of European soaps tend to have, like, when I smell this, I always think an old English building almost, and that's what I get off. Like, that's kind of what hits me. I don't know the scents on this. Yeah, they don't have anything listed on the label that I can read anyway. So I don't know what the scent notes are in it. I can just tell you that I've used Australian Private Reserve stuff before in the past, and they're really, really nice. They have a long, staying power is pretty long on their stuff. So I'm looking forward to using that. As far as the shave is concerned, we're using the Fat Boy right there. We're going to go with kind of a higher setting on this than I usually do. We're going to crank this baby all the way up to 9. Yep, 9. And since we're going to the 9, let's throw a feather blade in there, right? This feather blade, for those of you that it matters to, it's on its third use. There's the blade right there. So that's what it does to blade gap. Why did I mention blade gap? Well, some of you might say, well, that determines how aggressive it is. Not necessarily. I've kind of had a recent education on that, and I thought to myself, you know, this person's right. Oh, the brush. Combo, bamboo, sandalwood and resin hybrid Uomo brush with a synthetic knot in it. So that's what we're going with on this. Just getting this a little wet here. All right, so we're going to lather this up here. We'll talk about what I had an epiphany with. People often ask me what makes a razor aggressive. And I was watching a show because I went back up, and I used to sit there and say to those people, it depends on the blade gap, it depends on blade exposure, or this, that, and the other thing. Um, I don't necessarily subscribe to that anymore, quite that way. And the reason for that is I was watching the show, this YouTube show called Lather Be Shaving, and it's hosted by Matt Pisarcik of Razor Emporium and Douglas Smythe of Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, and I, they were talking about aggressiveness on razors and certain myths behind wet shaving and stuff. And they did mention aggressiveness of razors, and they had said that, you know, really the only way to tell if a razor is aggressive or not is to try it. And they're absolutely correct. You know, and I thought about that, and I said, you know, because I used to sit there and tell people, well, if the blade gap is really big, then that means that that shave is going to be super aggressive, right? And it's not necessarily true. And there are a lot of things that go into account with that because, you know, look at the Mule R41, for instance. That razor, even if you don't own it, just look at pictures of it online. The blade gap is not super big at all on that. Yet that's arguably one of the most, or more considered one of the more aggressive razors on the market. I happen to love that. I like that razor a lot. I think it's great. It's got I think it's a very smooth shaver, honestly. I own one and I love using it. So for me, it is aggressive, but it's extremely smooth. Now, what makes that razor aggressive? I don't know. I mean, I was talking to somebody else recently who suggested to me that it could be the blade angle, the way that when you close the razor, it folds the blade down, and it may have something to do with that as you bring the razor down. It very much could. So having said that, you know, if it's not blade, or it could be blade gap, could be blade exposure. I guess what it comes down to is how do you shave? I mean, what if that angle is super steep, and you say, well, that makes it super aggressive, right? But then maybe as a rule, your habits are to hold the razor out a little bit more than 30 degrees, than the standard 30 degrees, and so then therefore it's not as aggressive for you. So now you've just busted the myth that razor is going to be super aggressive. You know, so it really kind of comes down to the same thing that everything else comes down to with this hobby, and it comes down to what works for you. You know, and that's why I like doing this channel, because this is my opinion and what works for me. So if someone's looking for a starting point, hey, I want to know if this razor is aggressive. Okay, for me, yeah. But there are people that I know that'll take a Gillette black tip and they'll throw a feather blade in the thing, and they're like, yeah, God, wicked great. You know, I got such a close shave with that. And for me, the black tip does nothing. Well, it doesn't do nothing, but it's very, very mild. So here's the soap. I've just been really lathering the heck out of it. Going a little crazy here. So I got to get the shave going. But so, you know, for me, having said that, the Gillette Fat Boy, on its highest setting, tends to be very, very aggressive, in a good way. Because if it wasn't good for me, I wouldn't use it. But, or at least I wouldn't use it on its highest setting. So, I don't. Is this thing as aggressive as the Mule R41 on its highest setting with a feather blade? Yeah, but that's for me. So try to remember that is, you know, especially when you're new into wet shaving, or if you're converting someone else. This is another thing I tend to find myself in a lot, is that I try to convert somebody, or I am converting somebody else, and I give them advice. By the way, always with the grain for me on the first pass. I try to go light. I don't do really any pressure. I let the razor do the work. And this is kind of a heavy razor. It's just so big and bulky. But anyway, so especially with somebody that I'm converting into wet shaving or wants to try it or whatever, you give them advice, and then sometimes I find myself, if they go and they do something else, and I think to myself, well, why did they do that? But then I have to stop and say, well, because they're trying different things. And what if, what if they try that thing that I said not to do, and it works for them? Then have they done anything wrong? Nope. So I have to remind myself that, it is all about what works for you. So I can give people advice and guide people, but really when it comes down to is try it. Try it. I mean, if you say to yourself, is this a great soap? Boy, that's really subjective. I can tell you what soaps do not work for me. I can tell you what artisans I won't deal with because I don't like them, because they were rude or whatever. But you may have a different experience. So I think that was Saul. I watched that video. It wasn't the latest one. I think it was a couple of videos ago, actually. Because I think they come out every Friday typically, and during their season, and it definitely was not their most recent one. So I mean, it makes sense. If you want to know if something is aggressive, I mean, you can watch reviews on it and see what the masses say. I mean, I do the same thing. If I'm, okay, a majority of people say that this thing is super aggressive, so there's a strong chance that I might find it super aggressive. Cool, because I happen to like aggressive stuff. For me. So, kind of a case in point would be the wedge razor, for those of you that straight razor shave. Now, for those of you that do not, the wedge is not a brand. It's a razor blade type. There's hollow ground versus wedge. Wedge is basically where the sides of the blade are linear. Hollow ground, they kind of bow in and then come to a point. Wedges are, from what I have read when I was looking at them, generally considered good for newbie wedge shavers, which I was kind of surprised because they're so heavy. And the reason that they're good for that is because they don't have as much flexibility as the hollow ground. So I guess because of that, there's less chance. People say that there's less chance of, the person can not worry about having to follow the contours of the face. I guess. I don't know. I don't necessarily. For me, again, this is where I kind of disagree with the masses here. For me, I think a wedge shaves almost better than the hollow ground. I find the wedge shave to be way more aggressive, and I tried that recently. I only tried my first wedge recently, and it was a fantastic shave. With my hair, which my hair is really coarse. I mean, it's like cutting through brick, and a wedge, a nice heavy wedge, plows right through it and gives me a nice shave. If I push it, I can find I can get myself some irritation out of it. Not that I want it, but that does happen sometimes if I mistakenly push the shave. So for me, a wedge razor, generally speaking, tends to be more aggressive, at least as of right now. Whereas, and I was surprised when I read that some people recommended wedges for people that were new at straight razor shaving. Because I don't think I would necessarily subscribe to that. I found that you get a nice hollow ground. It seems to work well for me, or it did. That's what I learned on, and but that was me. I mean, So that kind of goes to show you that even though I've been wet shaving for a while, I have opinions that don't necessarily agree with the masses. So you don't really know what to expect. So you've got to take into account that just because something sucks for somebody else or something is awesome for somebody else, it may not be for you. So, having said that, for you newbies, and I think everybody gets caught in this at one point. That brings me to my next point. FOMO, with an F, FOMO. Fear of missing out. There are artisans out there, I don't care what anybody says, there are artisans out there that create it on purpose. FOMO is basically, something hits the market that you see that everybody wants, everybody desires, and you're like, dude, I gotta get that, everyone wants it, it's gotta be great. And you're up to midnight trying to land it, you get it in your cart, and then somebody steals it out of your cart because you're not fast enough, or someone's got a program or something. So, try not to get caught up in that, because I was having a conversation the other night with a good friend who brought up a very good point, is the trends, meaning like product trends in the wet shaving community, last about 3 weeks. So you spend maybe some money that you really didn't have the money to do, and you stay up till midnight or whatever it is, trying to spend the money on the program that you need in order for you to snag that product that's really difficult to get a hold of. And then you get it, and it's been shipped, and you're like, I got it. I've got the latest and greatest soap from XY soap maker who, says that this stuff is just beautiful, beautiful scent. And you sit there and you say, well, what's it smell like? Grapefruit. Yeah, because that's a difficult scent to find. And then, you get it and you go through that, and then 3 weeks later, nobody gives a shit. So, everyone's like, wow, how'd you get it for like the first couple, it's like, your 15 minutes of fame, I guess. But you do all that, and then like afterwards, you look at your shaved end and you got that thing sitting in there, and you're like, it's kind of like the wind gets let out of your sails. You look at it, you're like, wow, go me. I spent that money on that, whatever it is. And because everybody else wanted it and I got it, and that's pretty much it. People, people are still making soap, people are still buying other products. So try not to get caught up in that. You will. I think everybody does. Just, really take a look at what you're buying. Because I've done it myself. I've gotten on the train and I've bought something because I thought it, I'm like, wow, everybody wants this thing. It's got to be really cool. Got it, and I was like, I smelled it, and I'm like, yeah, I've smelled this scent before on this company or that company. I'm like, or it's very similar to this. So I just, I did all that for this. It just, when it comes down to it, you're really not gaining anything other than stressing yourself out potentially. And I don't know, grabbing a product that you ultimately may not even like anyway. One of the examples I see is Holy Black. People go absolutely apeshit nuts over their releases. Specifically, I remember when Jekyll and Hyde came out, and they had this big, beautiful case. And I for a minute, I saw it online, and I saw the pictures of when it was coming out, and I was like, wow, that thing's awesome. That's cool. That's like a work of art, man. And then afterwards, I was sitting there looking at my shaved end because I was contemplating, when it was releasing and if I could get the time off from work to be home to do it and blah, blah, blah. And then I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get that. Who's going to see it, number one? because I don't have a ton of people that stop by. I just don't. And what am I going to do with the box? It's a fancy box that it comes in. And for what reason? None, really. I mean, what am I going to do with that? The box that it came in doesn't really serve a purpose. It's beautiful. The way that they had it set up, it was really cool. It was like a crated, if I remember, it was a crated box, had like some type of hay behind it, I think. And it had the two in there, and the soap was neat. Like you open the soap up and it had a division down the middle. It was just really cool. But again, here we are, and I've seen the entire set up for sale as unused. I've seen. I know you guys. Somebody just commented, and I'm sorry if I didn't. I just missed that, and I don't know how to get that thing to come back up. So those of you that are here, I see I got a couple of viewers. Hey guys, how's it going? We're using Haverford by Stirling, and I got an aftershave here by Australian Private Reserve. This one is General Ledger, so Gillette Fat Boy. So anyway, I've seen stuff from Holy Black coming up for sale, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's so funny, because I remember people whining and complaining and freaking out because they didn't get that. And hey guys, and so I didn't. I thought I saw one that said "Good morning from UK." What's going on? All the way over there in the UK. It's cold here. I think it's in the teens. I haven't been outside yet. So 3:45 a.m. Hey, what's up, Rick? What's going on? 3:45 a.m. That's usually when I get up, dude. Rock on. All right. So anyway, so yeah, I see this stuff for sale and I just laugh and I'm like, wow, and some of it I see it's like used once or not used at all, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there kind of going, isn't that funny? People fought tooth and nail to get that, and now you mention it to some new wet shavers, and there's a lot of wet shavers, because there's a lot of turnover here. People get bitten by the bug and they're into it for like anywhere from 6 months to a year or two, and then they're out of it. They still wet shave, but they're not a hobbyist. And so those items just disappear. So they're great for like a month at the most, and then they fall off. And I just think that that's funny. So I don't. Small town near Niagara Falls, Ontario. Hey, what's up there, Rob? So, I don't, I guess my message to you is things are different for everybody. You may get that package from Holy Black where it's got all the different stuff in it, and you may love it, and good on you if you do. But if you do that, actually, we're just going to do a cleanup here. If you do that, don't do it because you want it yourself, not because everybody else is going after it and you think you're going to miss out on something really cool, because it's just not the case. Not that their stuff isn't useful or anything like that. I'm just saying, it's not the end of the world if you don't get that product. There are plenty of artisans out there. If this company does has other things you can buy, then you grab the other stuff. Because the base is going to be, for the most part, the same. If they don't have anything and they're like one of those limited release companies, then just try to just get something else. There's plenty of other stuff out on the market that's awesome, that's readily available. Peter Charkalis releases stuff constantly through his companies, The Club and Ariane and Evans, and sometimes I get a little frustrated because I want to buy everything, and sometimes I can buy only 2 things, and sometimes I can't buy anything at all. But then I look at my shave den and I've got 3 or 4 or 5 things from him, and I'm like, I got good stuff. I have good stuff by him anyway. Is it the worst thing in the world if I don't get the latest version of Cock soap or whatever it is? just because everyone else is in on the thing. No, not at all. And he's, he doesn't get mad if you don't buy it. The guy's not stupid. He knows, people buy what they can. And he's an awesome guy to deal with. I like talking to him. I've had a few conversations with the guy, and he's great. So, I still follow his releases because I think it's interesting to read about and stuff. But I buy what I can, and he understands that. And for me, I've come to the realization that that's okay. It still sucks sometimes when you see something that you think you as a person really like and you can't swing it. But if you see a release and you think to yourself, that's got to be better than all the stuff I have, especially if you're a hobbyist, think again, because it's not going to be the holy grail of shaving equipment. It's just not. And again, you want to get that new release that everyone's looking for, and you don't get it, dude or dudettes, it's gonna be gone. The people are gonna forget all about it in another month anyway. So don't stress about it. It's really not worth it. That there's plenty of things out there to buy that's really great product, and there's plenty of unsung heroes out there that make really good shaving products that are just not. They don't do a lot of advertising, so there's to their own accord. And wow, what a great shave! Holy cow! This is what happens when you get a brush that has no backbone to it, and it doesn't. But it's a great bowl latherer, let me tell you. So you'd think that this brush was like 50 years or 55 years old with a strong need of a little blue pill, but anyway. So it kind of everything I've been a little bit all over the map in what I was saying, but it all comes back to get the stuff that you want, not what you think everyone else wants you to have. Okay, and if that means you get 13 safety razors that are all Gillette slim combo Gillette slim adjustables and Fat Boys, or they're all slim, whatever. If that's what you want for you, then do that. You like sitting there at night and looking at your shaved end and looking at the stuff you have and just kind of admiring your collection for you. Great, but don't grab it off the latest market and say, oh, look what I got. I have it and you don't, just for the sake of getting it. Because, in a month, nobody's going to give a shit. So, all right. See, I still got plenty of lather back in that bowl. I hate getting rid of it, but especially Stirling. Stirling for me works really well. I've never had a problem with them. In Haverford, in case you guys missed it, the scent on it, I don't have the scent notes in front of me because my tablet's down. And I forgot to look it up on my phone before I fired up the live video. It's a very light, clean scent. I equivalated it to laundry in the scent area, in the sense that it's just clean. It doesn't smell like clean laundry, but take the blade out of there. Feather blade, Gillette, Fat Boy, all the way up to setting 9. So that was a really aggressive shave. This is not known as quote unquote an aggressive shaver, but for me, that setting number 9 is just as aggressive as some of my other razors. I'm happy with it. Feather blades also do well for me. Clean and the other thing too is, I know people tell you not to wipe the blades. Even I have said not to do that. it's probably one of those rules that I break anyway. I still wipe the blade. I just don't like stuff left on the blade. I rinse it and it's got water on it. I don't like that. I wipe it anyway. I'm sure, people that are hearing that are going, why are you doing that? Because it's mine. That's why. So the razor, I will take this to work with me and clean it up. I can't, see all the soap scum that gets left into it? Hey, have a good one there. Have a good one, Nut Rob. We'll talk to you later. Sleep well. So all the soap scum that's left in that. It's not really Stirling that does that. It pretty much for me, any shave soap does it. Maybe it's my water. I don't know, but I will take the time to clean this up at work when I have some downtime or whatever. If I have downtime. If not, I'll just do it tonight when I get home. But it's not a must. I mean, you don't have to do that. It's not. I don't think it'll affect the performance of the razor if you don't. This is just a personal thing for me. So let me see if I can get those comments to show back up. Okay. 15 miles southwest of Portland, Oregon. What's going on for the love of the shave? Let's see if I can scroll down, see if I've missed anything. DK, you were on here. I don't know if you still are. What's up, dude? There. Okay, so apparently if I hit the little chat thing, the comments come up, so that's great. Don't you love when you get shaving soap in your ear and you can hear that crackling and then like pretty much nothing else? Okay. All right, so that is the shave. Actually, it's not the shave. Look at this. So, DK, hope things are doing well with you. I think it was you. I saw a couple recent posts on Instagram, I think, that I was really digging. I can't think of them right now, but that's what reminded me of that. Oh, yeah, this is nice. This is General Ledger by Australian Private Reserve. I don't know what my cat just knocked over, but she just took out about 8 of her lives, I believe. All right. Yeah, that's nice. This is it kind of starts out floralish almost, which is kind of a lot of what I get on most of Australian Private Reserves. I started my own YouTube. Oh, you did, dude. Oh, that's cool. Let me subscribe. I'll subscribe. I didn't know that. I will subscribe to your YouTube. DK on here's Wet Shaver has started his own YouTube channel. So I have no idea how it is, but I'm sure it's great. I'm gonna subscribe to it when I'm done here. And those of you who want to check him out, do so. I'm gonna assume it's just DK because that's what comes up when you're chatting on here. So try to find it that way. But DK, if you have a link, actually, if you want to throw your link to your channel in the description below when I'm done, in the comment section below, feel free to do so others can click on it. But all right, so that's the shave. Great scent on that. It's a very, for me, it's very, it's DK Damn Fine Shave. Okay, simple enough. DK Damn Fine Shave. I will absolutely subscribe to that and subscribe to him as well. Check out his videos, as I will be doing the same. This scent to me is kind of for the aftershave. General Ledger is what I call European. A lot of this, it's like a floral scent at first, but then it kind of goes to a darker floral scent, which to me always reminds me of Europe for some reason, like in England, being inside an old English library. I don't know why I get that image, but it does. But it is nice. There's also a link in DK's Instagram account too, apparently. So check him out, DK Damn Fine Shave. So anyway, so that's the deal. I got to get out of here. I got to go to work. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the shave, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.